Hey, what's up YouTube? I'm gonna deck profile the deck I got first place with at the Hilo Regional. It's Voiceless Wanted Mikanko. Kind of an interesting mix. People kind of looked at me funny when I played this deck. I've been using it for a few weeks now, and it has had some success. Unfortunately, I took it to an OTS and lost in the last round before top cut. If I won, I would have topped. And the issue was actually because I had a deck building error in the sense of I should have played a Mikanko ritual in my main deck, which I did not, which caused me to lose against set 5 Eldritch because I couldn't out the back row. I'm going to start off with my shoutouts for this event. Shoutouts to Gamescape for hosting, judges Lawrence, Casey, and Tim for a smooth event, Chris Anderson for saying like I seem like the kind of person who'd play 60 card Voiceless, which inspired me to actually build this deck and add to my existing 60 card piles of Mikanko lists that I have. Then shout out for Bryson for letting me use his playmat because I forgot mine. Ryan for always side-eyeing us, and Yugioh for the Mikango inspiration, as well as Women History Month for this deck filled of women, and Konami for banning Circular, so I had to find a new engine to mess with. Going into my matchups, round 1, Snake Eyes Fire King, I lost the dice roll 1-2-1. Plants, I lost the dice roll 1-2-1. Striker, I won the dice roll 1-2-0. Blind second, so it didn't really matter if I won that dice roll. But Voiceless, the next round, round 4, 2-1, won dice roll. And then round 5, I was the only undefeated, but I lost to Fire King 0-2. I won the die roll, but I got cooked by Drolls game 1 and 2, and I also drew the hands that could not play through a Droll. So it's basically me ending on like a Mikango monster with a set Mikanko trap, which I hard opened in my 60 card pile as a 1-of, which is unfortunate. Had I seen like any Wanted engine or the Voiceless engine, I could have had a slightly stronger board. But it is what it is. When you play 60 cards, you get what you get. So I'm going to start with the main deck, the Voiceless engine, the Diviners, 3 of, one of your best normal summons, along with the Trius to tribute the Diviner, and what you're often sending. You kind of start like a normal Voiceless deck, but sometimes if you have the correct hands of just not purely the Voiceless engine or like Lowe's, then these can also just be good bait, because Diviner being a level 2 tuner comes in with Diabellstar. You can instantly make a level 9 Synchro if you summon her, and this also comes up with some of the side deck cards, or even just the Ohime being a 6+2, you can go Exile and then make a Baronne. It comes up if your Diviner gets negated. And then triple low, standard for that as well. And again, low can also be bait, because if you have Water Arabesque plus this, and like another way to get to your Voiceless engine, like Saphira or the continuous spell already in hand, then you can just summon this, they imperm this, and then you just Arabesque it back to your hand, so that way if you use it as a ritual summon, it still counts as the level 7 requirement that you're going to need for your rituals, which is really cool. Then 3 barriers, self-explanatory for this engine. The 1 trap, very normal. 3 Saphiras, running 2 Skull Guardians. Kind of wish I had 3 sometimes just because I could see it more, but it is also a brick otherwise, so if you don't have the Voiceless engine, it's kind of awkward. 2 Cerebus, it protects you from targeting if you don't have targeting protection on some of your plays, so you can insulate some stuff with like Diabellstar with the Cerebus, or protect yourself from the princesses, the prom princesses going like second. Then 2 prayers of the Voiceless voice. Do note that this has some random synergy with Ohime. If you get like Nibiru'd, you can trigger this because it is a light ritual monster. It did come up when I was playing against Voiceless, and I had the option to either make a Herald of the Arclight or just leave the materials on field and continue, but I had Ohime on the field as well, so I was able to push through and still make a board despite getting nibbed before making my Arclight. Then we have the 1 Saravis. It is kind of nice because you get to recycle any ritual spell, so you can send back your Kagura's, so you can research it with Ohime to keep popping back row and like those back row reliant decks. Then pre-prep, we search the prayers and like one of the other two rituals. So we have the Kagura with the triple Ohime. And then Ohime, I primarily search this as like the first thing because it can get you access to your water arabesque, which is the thing you kind of need the most. But sometimes you can dump your extra names like Huli if you're really need to get to them for certain matchups. Then the double Hare, I choose 2 Hare instead of 2 Huli, which I have the one of, because it's a fire warrior, which is unfortunate because it plays into Hita, but we do play some of the fire warrior support, despite, you know, Isolde being banned. It does matter having this fire warrior on the field. Then the triple water arabesques, as I mentioned, it's nice to be able to bounce back your dead cards, or I've done things like I bounce back my Bistio so I could use it on their turn as well while not having to get rid of another monster that's existing on my board. So it made them know that I had the Bistio, which is unfortunate, but it was a free body that I could just abuse. Then Mayawashi Dori and Fire Dance as the last 2 equips. You're always equipping this with Braver if you can. You're always searching this off Hare if you can. Just as an extender, I have not really had a need to summon back a monster to the opponent's field yet, but it is a relevant effect that can come up if you want to help push for game. Then, as I mentioned, we have the 1 Mikanko trap, choosing Spirit Walk, because it does the most with the least deck commitment. You can just search it off your Huli, set it, and you have a way to burn your opponent if you have any of the ritual monsters on your field. And just the fact that it just steals their monster, puts it in your spell and trap zone so they can't recur it. And then we're moving on to the Wanted engine. Triple Wanteds. Card is just crazy. It's just free and it gets you the Diabell Star. So I have 2 Diabell Stars. I think 3 is probably more correct. I do not actually own 3. I could have borrowed one, but I kind of like my list as is. And I can tell you the one slot I would change if I wanted to slot in this 3rd Diabell Star. And the 1 Original Sinful, which gets you to primarily Jet, because Jet plus this is Axel. Axel gets you to Braver. Braver can turn into Baronne, or you can use this to turn into an Arclight, depending on what you have. Then to add on, we have the Durandal, which is another card we equip off of Braver to get access to one of the other 2 targets. Primarily Oliver, because Oliver can send the equipped Mayawashi Dori to the graveyard, and then you can summon it out as a level 1 tuner, and then you can make a Baronne, as I mentioned, or it's another way to also make Arclight. And then I also play the 1 Renault as another target for Durandal and Original Sinful in case I hard open one of them. It doesn't come up that much in 60 cards, and if I'm siding out, I often side out the Durandal package if I'm going second. And then I do have 1 Illusion of Chaos. It is searchable off of Arclight if I choose to link it off to get to further into my engine to draw like a better board instead of ending maybe like on an Arclight pass or something. Then 1 Magician Souls as the target for illusion. It comes up, you send Diabell Star off this oftentimes, and just being the extra body comes up, and the fact that it's a dark really helps because it does get you to being able to summon the link to dark to steal like Diabell Stars and get your engine going as well in that way. And then it also gets rid of the dead equip spells. Triple Nibiru, one of the better hand traps I'd say for this deck, only because you have the Voiceless engine, which contribute this because it's a light monster. You have the Mikanko engine, where you summon a huge token on their field and you just go Mikanko plus equip, go battle phase, and you can just kill them that way too. And it's just generally a good card this format, and you can always side it out, you know, in the matchups where it's not relevant. Then Triple Imperm, I wanted a interruption that could be good going second. Like if you 6 card draw it, it's nice, and it does kind of smoke screen, or at least try to help you smoke screen where your Mikanko trap might be. So that kind of comes up so you don't automatically just get like cycloned on it. And then you have Triple T's. Triple T is just also there because you expect in this format to get hand trapped a lot. It'll either help me dig further into the combo, or depending on the hand, you know, I can just look at their hand, rip another hand trap and play around it and still make a board, stuff like that, or just hit engine. You know, Triple T is just a really good card. Then one called by, this is where I would potentially slot in the third Diabell Star, because you know drawing a 1 of in a 6D is not like an ideal deck building strategy, as you probably want more consistently with triple Diabell Star. But Saki 1 of called by is Saki. It comes up sometimes. It didn't come up at all during this specific event, but during the OTS, like it stopped a shifter and it stopped like an imperm when my only, or sorry, Veiler, when it was like the only hand trap they opened, and it was the only hand trap that stopped my turn. So I just kept it in because of those Saki scenarios. But again, Diabell Star might be more correct if you want to be a little more consistent. Now going into the extra deck, I'm starting with the one, as I mentioned, Arc Light. Very nice because you make it off of your own combo, or you can dump it off of the Diviner if you're in a situation where you want to do that, to get to like maybe your Mikanko engine, if you can just win with that. XL, as I mentioned, part of the combo where you can just Diabell Star plus the Jet Synchron, you make this, or you make one of the 6+2s to make this, to get either Braver or Baronne on the field. As mentioned, here's Braver. Braver on summon will equip 3 equips from grave or deck. You're always equipping Durandal, Maiwashi Dori, and Arabesque. You can use the Arabesque to either, you know, summon Mikanko to get to your Mikanko engine, or you just go and use like your Durandal and then make this into a Baronne. Depends on the matchup, if you really want to insulate yourself from the Nibiru, or if you just value the bigger body or something. It's kind of like you have to know what your opponent does, and you also have to kind of gamble if they have outs to either one of them, because if you go for Baronne and you want to set up like the Huli, then you fall into super poly territory. I have lost a lot of games to that because I picked wrong. It is something to note. Then we have Baronne, as I mentioned, very good card, pretty easy to make in this deck. I chose Anima as my 1-link-1 for this deck. It's a dark, which comes up. I felt like being able to also bait negates into people who do not play around the Anima zone is kind of nice. And then you can just link it off to climb into like SP or dark or something. Because you can, you know, low, and then you can get to Anima, you can make your dark. And then if they have Diabell Star in the grave, then you can, you know, as I mentioned, combo off of that. Then one Dynamundo, since we're playing the Voiceless engine, it's pretty relevant. One Dark, one Hita for our Charmers, since we play these attributes. I kind of do want to play a Lina as well, in case I play more Voiceless matchups, but they have performed well. One SP. SP is just a crazy card, helps you break boards or make some sort of end board if you get hand trapped enough or open poorly. Then one Celine, since we have the Charmers, we have the Magician Souls, we have Diabell Star, I may as well play it to climb. Access code helps clear out boards, clear out games, gets around skill drain if you get to him. Then I am playing the one Intis for the Diviner, that's really all it's there for. I would have had a cleaner match against Plants had the last card in their hand not been an Ash Blossom. I could have just baited their Therion Regulus and then gone for the evenly match in the battle phase after crashing. But they had the Ash and Cactus Bouncer prevented me from playing the game, so that was unfortunate of a game too. Super Poly targets, Mud Dragon, Garura, and Earth Golem. They've all come up at some point, but specifically this one did not come up in this tournament or this one either, but they did in the OTS, so I kept them in. Super Poly is alright in this. I feel like there could be a better option, but so far it did actually help me win the match against Plants, so I will probably stick with it for now if I continue to play this build. Right, lastly, the side deck. The Bestial engine, the small package, this was not originally in my OTS list, but after thinking about it, I'm like, if I play against more Voiceless, it's going to come up. I ended up playing against Sky Strikers, where it also came up. And in the Fire deck, sometimes it can come up, but I didn't really choose to side them in against Fire. Triple Evenly, this card helps break boards. I mean, Mikanko's kind of don't want to lose their battle phase, but with some of the boards you have to play through, it's kind of worthwhile, and you can still make pretty good boards with the other engines. so it doesn't feel like that much of a waste, and it's definitely a good card to run. And triple cyclones for the floodgates, as well as mentioned, evenly helps out floodgates. But cosmics, like if I play against Voiceless, it'll come up. If I play against like the Fire King Islands, it'll come up, or stuff like, you know, that just like back row decks as in Labyrinth. Then we have triple Lancias. I don't know, this card's not that popular right now, but I like it. It comes up. There's a lot of Flunderies running around, at least at my locals, but it also protects us from opponents' evenlies, Cash Tira, like Prosperities, a lot of stuff that can give you a headache. And it is nice that it's a level or a light monster, so you can use it if you need to as a material for the ritual summons. Like, it does come up sometimes where I've had to tribute it. Then we have the triple super polys, as I mentioned, to round off our side deck. And that is basically the entire deck profile. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know in the comments down below. I'll probably have like a clip or two at the end of this with an example of like this deck doing things on Edopro. So stay tuned for that if you want to keep watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.